quick review on the Yardbird chicken plucker. It's our first year using it. Years past, we've hand plucked them with a drill. So it's kind of similar mechanism as this. This thing's pretty sweet. We picked it up at Tractor Supply. Yeah, so this is our third time using it, I believe. And it has made the defeathering process so much faster. I really, really like it. I've never used any of the other ones, so I can't cross compare. I can only tell you my experiences with this one. So basically the way this machine works is quite simple. Inside we have a bunch of little rubber fingers here, and the chicken gets placed in here. This disc down here spins, and as that spins, the chicken bounces around, and these little rubber grips the feathers, pulls them off with the water running like so. There's a little hose that runs on the top with little holes in it. And then the feathers get caught down below, and there's 3 of these rubber fingers beneath this spinning plate that then grips those feathers and then sends it into the defeathering hole over here, which you have to have a bucket to catch it, otherwise you're gonna have wet feathers all over your lawn. It's quite simple machine. It's pretty genius. Whoever came up with this idea simplified it quite greatly. And the hose hookup goes right here. One thing I would say that I wish Yardbird would just install on it is this shutoff valve. So this little silver piece here is the shutoff valve I put on it. It's not a big deal. I mean, this piece is, it's a really cheap one. It's like $1 probably at Menards. But without this, you would hook the hose straight up to this, and then this hose would run without being shut off. So without this, there'd be quite a water mess. The very first time I tried using it, I used it without the shutoff valve, and real quick, I was like, "Yep, that's not going to work." It was just a pool, and as you can see, it's pretty flooded already. So another tip I would give when you're using this is if you're on any flat surface or sloping surface, make sure your water's sloping away from you. Last time I had it set up backwards on accident, and I should have just switched it, but I just started rolling with it, and my shoes were soaked by the time I was done. But yeah, it's quite simple machine to use. And I'll give it a fire up, and we'll throw a bird in there. So we got some birds ready to go. So if you're unfamiliar with chicken processing, what I'm doing right now is I'm dipping the chicken in hot water, typically between 140 and 160 degrees. And what that does is it loosens the feathers. So the feather itself is actually mostly comprised of protein. So they're stuck in there quite well. So you can use feathers in your compost. Chickens will eat them. Like right now, there's a chicken, one of our egg layers are eating a feather right now. And this just helps loosen the feathers up. So it kind of just dips in here a little bit, work the chicken in to really get those feathers moving, and then just pull right on the leg. And once it peels off like that, it's basically ready to go. I just give it another few seconds. And then one thing I learned too is just recently I learned a tip of putting dish soap in there, which helps keep the water a little bit cleaner and helps loosen those feathers even faster. And it really does make a difference, because before I would have to dump this water constantly, and now I can go probably twice the length as I did before. Once it's done that, you got to put it in here real quick, so you don't want to warm it up. Turn on the power, disc starts spinning, turn on your water, dump them in. And I believe it said 15 seconds, like 2 birds in like 15 seconds or something like that. We can only fit 1 bird at a time, which is plenty for us. Don't let it run longer than it needs to though, or it will beat up the chicken quite well. So last thing you want to do is tear the skin, especially if you're bagging whole. If you're parting, it really doesn't matter as much. Tail feathers are always in there pretty deep, which doesn't matter. This gets cut off anyways. Here. And then usually just 1 or 2 feathers you got to pluck up. This is actually really good. This came off quite well. A little bit bruising on the wings, which is pretty normal. All right. This one's ready to go. So this one left a little bit more on there. That one probably could have sat in the hot water a little bit more. but I'd rather stop it early than let it keep going and then have the skin tear or the leg break or something like that, which isn't the end of the world, but we are selling these ones, so the last thing I want to do is damage the chicken. I can take, you know, 2 minutes to pull out these feathers here. One thing I have noticed, and I don't know if it's user error or what, but sometimes it has a really hard time going onto its back, where it just wants to spin like this. And these are Cornish hen crosses, which, if you know anything about these breeds, they're ready to be harvested in 6 to 8 weeks. These are 8-week birds. And one of the appeals of these birds is they have very big breasts. And my theory is that the breasts on these birds are so big that the weight of them keeps them down like this, rotating like this. So sometimes these feathers are harder to get off. That's just my theory. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what, but that's my theory on why sometimes these top feathers have a tendency not to come off as easily. But overall, this machine has been wonderful. It's made our job 10 times easier. Before, I would have to sit with a little drill with it had the same rubbers pieces on it, like 6 of them. I would spin around, flip it and hold it, and it was a total pain. Feathers would be going everywhere. This is probably speed our time up by at least double. But other than that, it's quite easy machine. This hole, when you're all done, this hole, sometimes feather gets stuck in here. You just reach up in here and make sure the machine's off, obviously. Pull out the clump of feathers there. Feathers, when they come out of the chute, the water comes out with them. So make sure your bucket has holes in it. This is an old potato bucket. I should probably put some more holes in it, to be honest. But make sure your bucket has holes in it, otherwise, because this fills up really fast, because it actually uses quite a bit of water, which again is why a shutoff valve is so important. Without that, you're just going to be wasting water and you'll have a flood in your yard. But this whole canister comes off by these clips here, and you can clean it really well. Last time I cleaned it with some vinegar, because we use a lot of all natural products. I don't know if I would do that again, to be honest, because vinegar will tarnish metals, certain like steel and whatnot. So I probably would use something else. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use this next time around, because I have noticed the plate itself is a little tarnished, and that's my fault. The only knocks on it, I would say, honestly, is I wish it came with a shutoff valve. I think that's a really easy thing for Yardbird to install, but not a real complaint by any stretch of the imagination. Another thing I would say is I wish the wheels were a little bit bigger for moving it. For us, a lot of people, I'm sure, are moving it on their driveways or, you know, dirt paths. For us, we're moving this through grass and whatnot and on level terrain. I wish the wheels were a little bit bigger. Other than that, the wheels and the shutoff valve, other than that, I think the thing's great. Makes it really, really simple. Great machine, totally recommend it. If you are processing, you know, I would say anywhere over, you know, 30, 40, 50 birds, it's worth extra money. It's going to take you a while to get your money back, especially if you're selling or if you're just doing it for yourself. It's worth the investment. Yeah, it's great. Go buy one, guys. Geez, get off my back. But yeah, 100% clean. Oh, we got a little tearing, probably from when it got stuck. So this one will probably part out, which is probably good anyways, because these ones have some big breasts. This is the Pamela Anderson chicken. I would buy it again.